In this video, I'm going to be talking about what is the covenant, how it relates to the spine, and exactly which portions of the spine are related to which covenants specifically. So hi everyone. If you are new to my channel or if this is the first time you're seeing me, my name is Nahal. I am the founder of Yoga Avec Moi. A private client had asked me what is the relationship between the covenant and the spine, and I really thought this was an excellent question and definitely pushed me further to explore more. It made me want to make this video because I thought it was going to be so helpful for many other people. I'm going to start with what is the covenant? Covenant in a religious sense is a binding agreement between God and man, whereby God requires of man certain behavior in return for which he guarantees certain blessings, or whereby he gives man certain bounties in return for which he takes from those who accept them an undertaking to behave in a certain way. There is, for example, the greater covenant, which every manifestation of God makes with his followers, promising that in the fullness of time a new manifestation will be sent, and taking from them the undertaking to accept him when this occurs. It's a little bit long, just bear with me a little bit. There's one more paragraph about the lesser covenant. There's also the lesser covenant that a manifestation of God makes with his followers, that they will accept his appointed successor after him. If they do so, the faith can remain united and pure. If not, the faith becomes divided and its force spent. Essentially, the greater and lesser covenant, both of them, they kind of deal with the manifestations of God. All of those prophets, there are 9 I accept as sent forth by God, and then there's all these other lesser prophets that are also there. The 9 prophets and then the 1 manifestation of God so far are Zoroaster, Buddha, Krishna, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, the Bab, and Baha'u'llah. In total, that are within at least the Baha'i concepts that they accept as prophets sent forth by God. And then of course, there's Baha'u'llah, who is not a prophet, but he's a manifestation of God. To learn more about that, detail, go do your research on your own. What I wanted to talk about in this video is mostly about the covenant. The covenant, the binding agreement that God always sends forth manifestations of God or prophets to us to educate us, that he will not leave us alone, that he will always send someone to educate us and basically take care of us and make sure that we're not alone in this giant world, right? With that belief in the manifestations of God, what is necessary for us to know is that what does it mean to actually believe in a manifestation of God or in a prophet? It usually requires and entails the love for that manifestation of God, but also the obedience to their laws and ordinances that they've brought forth. Or if they've shared revelation and words, is basically for you to read the book and follow the book and to kind of continue it in that way. So these are aspects in which you prove in which that you believe in a manifestation of God or prophet, or that you are obeying the covenant that God has with you, which is that he will send us manifestations of God, and then we will obey them and basically listen to whatever they have to say. Just as a mental visualization, if you were to think of an upright person, a righteous person, you would typically think of someone who is tall in spinal cord. Even though this might seem like a arbitrary thing, but anyone who slouches and kind of does this, it's almost like you're suspicious a little bit. And from the yogic perspective, there's a lot of different things that have to do with this whole thing, where someone who is crouched, they're covering their spine, they're covering their heart chakra, they're closed, they're kind of protecting their heart, they're not open, which reflects in the alignment of the spine. Right, someone who is righteous, you would imagine them tall, spinal cord erect, white, wearing a white robe, or very clean clothes, right? Whereas someone who is not like a little weird and like greedy and maybe like crouching like Gollum, basically from like Lord of the Rings. Like the best is like I think about is like Gandalf and Gollum. It's like the perfect spinal curvatures or lack thereof in terms of contrast of like what does it mean for someone to like really obey the covenant in the sense. So the covenant, what I see as like the universal laws, if you obey these laws, you're basically upright. And the way that reflects in our physical body is within our spinal cord. Literally, our spinal cord is bones, cartilages, like stacked on top of each other. Any sort of slippage or like protrusion of like the cartilage or something like that, it will like hit on a nerve. The motto of yoga is that healthy spine is a healthy life. So if you have a healthy spine, you basically have a healthy life. Essentially, the entire practice of yoga is really to maintain the health and suppleness of the spine in its original form, like when you were born, how supple it was. If you think of a baby just like lifting its feet like above its head and just being able to like, you can twist and turn a baby like however you want. That's like the suppleness of the spine that we gradually lose over time as we become firm and calcified in our thoughts and our thinking. So really yoga, part of like bending in all these like gymnastic kind of ways, is about to maintain the suppleness of the spine. So if we think about like a cat who has like 9 lives, basically their spine is like super like supple. If you think about when they yawn and they like stretch their spine and they go all the way back, they kind of can curve their spine like in the opposite direction, which humans can't even do that. But it's really the dynamism of the spine in which they can curve, or like you're holding them upright with their spine, and then when you can just drop them and their spine kind of twists in a way in which they will land on their feet almost like all the time. Everything that has to do with the health of the spine is like, in a sense, related to the covenant. So the more upright, it will reflect in the health of the spine. So following the laws of God will reflect in your spine in particular. Now I'm going to go into a little bit in more detail about how each section of the spine is related to exactly which covenant. So I wanted to mention here that I do have a blog, and I will link it down below in the description for you to see like a table of exactly of all the entire spinal cord. I'm just going to provide like 1 or 2 examples in today's video. Let's start with the coccyx. The coccyx is the bone that's like right under your sit bone, the absolute bottom part. And within yoga, that correlates to the root chakra. And the root chakra is connected to certain themes. Any theme that has to do with family, money, and survival. So the way I see the covenant is that any issue that you have within these 3 themes, family, money, or survival, it relates to the covenants that correlate to those themes. For instance, be like a law of obedience to your parents, the family realm. Or it could be a law of hurala or zakat, or like some sort of percentage of your money going towards charity or God. Or survival being like the importance of finding work that correlates and to sustaining yourself like for a living. Any covenant, sometimes they could be covenants in terms of like a law that is like hurala is a law, like you have to follow it, right? Zakat is like a law. It's like there's no like choice whether or not you get to kind of do that. But there's also other aspects of like ordinances, which are like things that are recommended to do in order to keep that like kind of like alignment with source in that sense. Think about the coccyx, the root chakra, and then the themes related to that root chakra, and then you correlate the types of covenants that relate to these sort of topics of family, money, and survival. That's where you get like the sort of principles of like, if you are not in health or in full health or some sort of imbalance, or you've received like an injury of some sort in that part of the spinal cord, you can go and check the corresponding covenants to heal it. Ultimately, God is the source of all healing. even though we have like Western medicine and pills and things like that, we know about the placebo effect and all these things. And I'm completely not denying the validity of science. I'm a science major for sure. But ultimately, when it comes to the efficacy of these pills, it's really like the higher source of whether or not source wants to grant you healing, which is always part of the law of the universe, is always moving. Like health and wellness is really the final thing of the day. It's really not something that is like, we're not meant to live a life that is diseased. We're really, everything in life is pointing towards like achieving health. Let's say, for instance, we have like an injury to our coccyx area. We can think about the themes of the covenant that are related to this, such as the law of who, such as like family, what is happening within our family dynamics, or what is happening with survival. How am I earning money, and whether or not that actually aligns with my soul's purpose. These are ways in which for you to kind of see whatever is happening with that imbalance, you can use the covenant themes to kind of heal it. So it's like, if you've received, I really think that like with every disease, like there is a reason and there's a purpose for it. And in fact, you can always find like a link to a specific reason. I wouldn't say like a specific reason, but a conglomerate of beliefs or situations in life where you are imbalanced. In the blog, you will see each part of the spine correlated to each part of the chakra themes, and then each of the covenants that are related to those chakra themes. So that's where you can find that whatever area of the spinal cord you have issues with, that's where you can focus on. And if it's not a spinal cord that is related to you, but you have an organ that's a little bit diseased or something like that, it is a part of the spinal cord's jurisdiction energetically, that they rule that part of the body. So there's a photo in the blog. If this is a spinal cord, if the heart is here, then it's like the thoracic T1 to T12 that you're dealing with here, right? And all of the organs, like the heart, like the lungs, like the rib cage, all of that is included within it. So it's not just the spinal cord, but it's also the organs that are there. So if you're not really relating to being diseased within the spinal cord region, but you're like, I know my spleen has issues, or I know my heart has issues, then what you can do is like follow the covenants within that organ or wherever the spinal cord is related, and all of those organs around it are all included within that. So it's not just the bones, it's also all of the organs, because this is energetically speaking. The yogic chakras are like the energetic ideas and concepts of this sort of like framework that I'm speaking about. That's really all I kind of wanted to say about that. I'm really working more with my clients one-on-one with the chakras and like sort of like sacred laws within all of the religions. So if that's something that kind of resonates with you, I'm in the process of needing to complete 150 hours of training so that I could finish my certification in integrative yoga therapy. And I'm working 150 hours with a mentor during this period of time. I've technically already finished. I'm pretty sure I finished 150 hours of teaching since I started as an integrative yoga therapist, but I can't include all of my previous teachings with that because I didn't basically take this course and be under a mentor whilst teaching in those things. So I have to start all over again. So I'm really thinking of increasing my availabilities, because this is what I'm like wanting to focus the majority of my time on. So, and I'm also willing to work more flexibly with my rates in order to do this. So do check out the website. Actually, it's written in the blog how my rates have changed, and you'll be able to like book And the link to the booking scheduling thing is also like in that same place as well. If any part of this video like interested you in any way about connecting the covenant or the spine, like please leave your questions in the comments below. I'd love to interact with you on them. And if you would like to book me in a session, then please do come and talk with me about these themes. I am absolutely in love with dealing with health in this kind of way, and it really fascinates me to like hear people's questions in regards to these things. Sometimes I can see humanity raise its vibration, people. Like they are starting to ask questions that are like next level. I love it. It's like it's really deep, and it's really quite fascinating to like be a part of this exploration. And also, I wanted to let you guys know, I don't think I've ever said this on this channel yet, but my shop for my earrings are actually live now on my website. So that will be also linked in the description below. So if you are interested in any spiritually kind of like guided creations of jewelry, especially I create a lot of jewelry specifically for my clients in order to like stabilize certain chakras. For instance, like the root chakra, like if there's an issue there, wearing like a red earring and something that's grounding and stabilizing like is really helpful. So it's like really the jewelry that I create is very specific to healing and also like manifestation. If you want to bring about love, if you want to bring about joy, it's kind of like purposeful earrings in a sense. So if you would like to check it out, check out my shop in the link below. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.